Burn, baby, burn. It's profile time. Hello, it's your local dragon lady here, and I want to thank everyone for 200 subscribers. I know that's not very much whatsoever, but I'm still a brand new channel and every little bit helps. So to celebrate, I figured I would do a deck profile, a burn profile, a nurse burn bad reaction to some mochi burn deck. This is a deck that I've been playing for quite a while now, and it's done really well at my locals. And no, you don't have to use Mystic Mind for this deck, although you can if you want. But if you want a deck that's fun, that can still frustrate your opponent on occasion, this deck will still do the job. So anyway, without further ado, let's get this started. Okay, for your monsters, you want the lady herself, 3 Dark Lord Nurse. And what else can I say? Basically, as long as she's on the field, anytime your opponent would gain life points, her effect means they take the damage instead. So you need 3 of her. 2 Lava Golems. I know I'll use this card a lot in different decks, but for a good reason. He's so good. He allows you to get rid of 2 of any problematic monsters your opponent has, and of course, sometimes your opponent can have trouble getting rid of them, so each standby phase, they take 1,000 points burn damage. And 3 Amazoness Swordswoman. Basically, any battle damage that involves this card, your opponent takes the damage instead. So one nifty trick is if you were to special summon Lava Golem on your opponent's side of the field in attack mode, well, you can summon her and slam into it. She'll die, but your opponent will take the damage. And it doesn't have to be Lava Golem. I mean, your opponent can have a field full of powerful boss monsters. So they could have something that has, 4,000 attack, even 5,000 attack. They could have it pumped up to ridiculous levels that I've seen up to, 7,000 plus. Hey, get her out, attack, bam. You just might make a game. So for monsters, that's all you need. So everything else is magic and traps. So for magic, let's get on with the draw power. I have 2 Pot of Extravagance. If you have 3, use 3. The only reason I have 2 here is because that's all I have. 3 Pots of Duality. There's almost no special summoning going on in this deck except for Lava Golem. So really, the mill 3 cards and pick one is insane. 3 cards of Demise, where there's going to be a lot of magic and traps in this deck. Set everything and draw until you have 3, use those. So this card is very, very useful. 3 Banishment of the Dark Lords. It's basically a searcher to get your Dark Lord Nurse. So technically with this card you're playing a deck with 6 copies of her. 3 Dark Sanctuary. Okay. Remember when I said you could use Mystic Mind if you want? Well, you can. This is the field card I have for this deck, and I know it's mainly used for the Destiny board or the Ouija board deck, but I use this for the secondary effect. Basically what happens is each time your monster declares an attack, an attack. So if they have 3 monsters, 1 attack each, you flip a coin. If the coin lands on heads, basically the attack is negated and they take half the damage of their monster's attack. So if they have a bunch of high power monsters, 3 blue ones on the field, they'll attack with 1. If the coin toss lands in your favor, they take 1,500 damage. And this card can make people sweat. They had a field full of monsters and they were debating, should they go ahead with the attack? If I've already burned them for a lot of damage, they actually reconsider going through with their battle phase. So no, this is actually a very, very nifty card. But again, if you don't like playing with Dark Sanctuary, you can swap this out for a Mystic Mind, but I will admit, I play both versions of this deck with both this Dark Sanctuary and the Mystic Mind, and this one seems to make people sweat even more. To find your Dark Sanctuary to terraforming, this makes sense because with Mystic Mind it makes sense for you to go first and use traps or magic cards to get it out during their turn, but Dark Sanctuary, you don't have to do that. So on your turn, yes, you can look it up with Terraforming. Upstart Goblin, it's more effective if you have your nurse up. So they take 1,000 damage and you draw 1 card. And here's a real fun one. Chain Energy. Now you have to be careful with this card because this does affect you too, but basically once this card's on the field, every card you play from your hand, the owner takes 500 damage. So let that sink in for a second. Now obviously you activate and set your cards first and then use these last, but I've had occasions where I had like 2 or 3 of these in my opening hand. So once I have my field set up, I will end by activating 2 Chain Energy. You pass it to your opponent, and then your opponent has to try to set up their board, but they're taking 1,000 life points damage for every card they play from hand. Now, it doesn't affect special summoning or surging, that's fine, but anytime they play, you know, a trap card, magic card, summon a monster, it's just, yeah, this really can make them sweat, especially in the late game if they're already burned for a lot of damage. Okay, for traps, this is where the real damage occurs. You got 3, Bad Reaction of Samochi. This is basically the trap version of Dark Lord Nurse. Now, this was the first one to be released. A friend of mine, we would play decks revolving around this card, and they were very, very effective. And I said to him, listen, I just built a Bad Reaction deck on steroids. So if you include this with Dark Lord Nurse and the banishment, so you're basically playing with 9 ways to do life gain burn damage to your opponent. To Metaverse, this just adds another way to get Dark Sanctuary from your deck to the field even faster. So yeah, and where's the trap card? It's pretty nifty. So you set the trap. Once your opponent goes into battle phase, you can say, okay, activate Metaverse, activate the Dark Sanctuary from deck to field, and there you go. It has to go to a coin toss from that point. So it's a pretty, so just count this card as another Dark Sanctuary. So with the card itself, 2 Metaverse and 2 Terraforming, that's 7 ways. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah. Had to count there. 7 ways to get Dark Sanctuary out. So yes, especially in late game, that can make your opponent sweat even more. 3 gift cards, so yeah. What the card's supposed to do is give your opponent 3,000 life points, but thanks to Nurse and Samochi, that's going to be damage. 3 Paths of Destiny. This also requires a coin toss, but no matter what the result of the coin toss is, your opponent is going to take 2,000 damage, but you still have to do the toss yourself because the results could mean that you could gain or lose 2,000 life points. So that's still a very easy burn card on your opponent thanks to the Nurse and Samochi. And 3 Try and Guess. Basically, your extra deck is just going to be jank. So in my extra deck, I have nothing but Link Link monsters. Because what Try and Guess does is basically what you do is you basically guess what they have in their extra deck. Do they have more Synchro, more XC, or more Fusion monsters in their extra deck? And whatever one you choose, if it's correct, if they do have more than you do, they're supposed to gain 3,000, but thanks to Nurse and Samochi, they're going to take the damage instead, and that's why you have nothing but Link monsters in your extra deck. Because no matter what, if you declare one of the other extra monsters, it's like a 99% chance they will have more of the other monsters in their extra deck. So that's almost a guaranteed way of doing burn damage to them. And that's the thing, like, it may not seem a lot, but man, thanks to the draw power, you can get these cards pretty fast and easy and set them. And this is not a traditional, as you can tell, not a traditional chain burn deck. This is more or less like a go for the kill burn deck. I've done numerous OTKs with this deck. It was basically a first turn kill, believe it or not. I went first, I had all the cards I needed, set everything. When my opponent did the draw phase, flip everything, it was game. You'd be surprised how common that was. But thanks to Dark Sanctuary and Amazoness, Swords, Woman, Lava Golem, this is a deck that, you don't have to win solely based on these trap cards, but yeah, it has just enough annoyance to not only go for the kill, but make your opponent sweat a lot. So let's go to the side deck. I have one more extra metaverse. You know, I thought 2 was a pretty good ratio to work with the terraforming if you want to get your Dark Sanctuary out, but hey, if that's not enough, you can take a third one. 3 Dark Bribe. I like this card more and more. I've used it a long time ago, but I stopped because it does give your opponent card advantage, but it's really a 2-for-1. So if you set it, if your opponent goes to activate a trap or magic, it doesn't matter. Just flip this up. I mean, yes, I draw a card, but at least you get to negate that card's effect. Marshmallow, 3 of them. I actually switch between this guy a lot, and people, it just annoys people so much. He cannot be destroyed by a battle, and once they do attack into him, you flip him face up. They take 1,000 points damage anyway, so just, yeah. So put him out, face down defense, they attack, bam, well, leave him defense, and that's it. They have these a card effect in order to get rid of them, because attacking over and over just isn't going to work. So he's good defense and decent burn. 3rd Lava Golem, you know, just in case. I mean, 2 typically works, but hey, sometimes you just need that 3rd to round it off. 2 Dark Lord Contact. This is basically a monster reborn for your Dark Lord nurse, but for the most part, I find you don't really need it. You know, you got 3 nurse, you got 3 ways of searching it, and you have dark, you know, bad reaction to Samochi. So no, I can't see you needing this, but at least 2 for just in case. 2 Twin Twisters. It's a staple. I found it okay with 2. You're not going to come into many situations where you need to destroy any of your opponent's back rows, especially considering the speed that this deck works with. So yeah, but you know, just in case. 1 Soul Taker. I want to fit more in, but I'm yet to come into a situation where I'm going to use this. Basically, you activate, you target 1 monster your opponent controls, and you destroy it, and they gain 1,000 life points. So you have your nurse up, your Samochi up. There you go. That's another 1,000 burn, and you destroy one of their monsters in the process. Here's a nasty one too. Goddess, Skilled Oracle, and in practice matches, this, yeah, she's pretty mean. Basically, what she does, you basically once per turn, you excavate the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. You look at them, your opponent can't see them. You look at them and you rearrange them in any order you want and put them back on the top of their deck. So if you were to do that and you find a card that you really don't want to see, it could be something that can destroy your Dark Sanctuary. Could be, you know, a Twin Twister. So if you were to excavate the top 3 cards and see that, well, just keep putting it at the bottom of the pile, and unless they have draw cards already in their hand or on the field, they're never going to draw into that, you know, unless they find a way to destroy the goddess. But don't totally rely on this. That's why I've cited for 2 for the time being. So it really depends on what deck you're going against. Would you really need her? And that, my dragons, is my Nurse Burn deck. It's a bit different. You know, it's not the traditional chain burn deck where you use, you know, Secret Barrel, Just Desserts, Hidden Blast, like all those. I mean, and those are fun, don't get me wrong. Those are really fun decks. But I'm the kind of duelist who likes to go for the big damage fast. And burn decks have always existed. It's just years and years ago when this game first came out, they just weren't very viable. But oh man, like after all these years, there's just so many ways to do it. And so far, this is my favorite way of doing it. So yes, you have lots of draw power, different strategies, high power burn decks, lots of ways to make your opponent hesitate, as in like, should they or should they not attack? Should they or should they not play cards? So this strategy just, it can really be annoying. So I'm going to put this deck along with the don't play, you want to make friends category. But still, it's a lot of fun. I suggest you try it at least once. But anyway, no matter what, if you play with this deck or not, to be a good sport, play the game at the Fame. See ya! Thanks for watching. If you like what you see, be sure to subscribe and click on the little bell for notifications. You can also check me out on Facebook. Link is in the description below. Happy dueling!